Hey, how you doing? This is Maurice Marbury, also known as Maurice of the Marbury family, Elohim Ali Bey, an indigenous Moor of the Northwest Maxim, under the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1787. I want you to, this is another part of the judicial corruption pertaining to the case that I was talking about, and this is for me, and I won't do this again, I don't think, you know. But this is part of judicial corruption pertaining to the case that I was dealing with, and then you see me speaking in front of the judges and the prosecutors and different things of that nature, where the administrative process has gone in, and this is for me, my name, who I am as a person, and a lot of people are believing that I might be beating a case due to a technicality. You see what I'm saying? Where there's a loophole in the law that says this is happening. I was never served a temporary protection order. Uh, I never got a full hearing. It was violations of my right to due process of law and things of that nature pertaining to that. But those are technicalities. But what I want you to do is pay attention to actually what took place in the case. And I want to read this and show you that this whole thing is based on fraud. You know what I'm saying? I don't put my hands on women. Period. You know what I mean? So you want to look at this again. I want to explain how I was in. What kind of person in their right mind would chase somebody to 3 different cities on the same day and do the same thing? You see what I'm saying? So this person went to 3 different jurisdictions: Willoughby, Painesville, Cleveland Heights, so 4, Garfield Heights, and said that I did something to them. You see what I'm saying? Who in their right mind would do that? And I want you to understand that, please pay attention to this, that a normal civilian wouldn't even know how to do that. So this is going to show that help was here, and that this whole case and situation is based on fraud. All right, now I'm in uh, Willoughby, Painesville jail, federal holding, looking for what's going on and seeing what's going on. I'm writing motions to say, hey, look, why am I here? Why am I here? Because nobody ever told me why I was there. You see what I'm saying? So this judge thinks everybody thinks that I'm crazy because I have been warned, man. They got my history, what I would do to police officers, what I've done to federal agents and things of that nature. So yeah, he's crazy. And then we told that he's violent. So I want you to think about this. And these things were being exposed to me while I was incarcerated. This is how God works when your heart is pure, when your motives, you know what I'm saying, are pure. This was presented to me. This, you'll see this just like in the last piece. Let me see. Can you see this? This is an affidavit that I wrote. And you can see this. This is April 16th, 2016. This was written, and I'm explaining to you why I wrote this. Now, first, again, I'm explaining to this judge, and everybody's looking at me like I'm crazy. So I went to court one day on March 16th, 2016. And I told Judge Lucci, if y'all know Judge Lucci in Painesville, he's a horseman like Sappho is here. However, he's logical. But he sends police to jail, whoever. If you do something wrong, he's sending you to jail, right? That's who this guy is. And, I'm just like, well, there's a violation of my right to due process of law. He said, well, what do you mean? I said, if you continue. He said, what do you mean? I said, well, Internal Affairs came to see me on March 14, 2016, and informed me that the initial case is being investigated. So if the initial case is being investigated, how can you move forward with an extension of the case? He said, this is what he did. He pulled his glass down. He said, Internal Affairs. He said, you mean detective? I said, no. I said, no. Let me look at my other briefcase right quick. I said, no. He told me Internal Affairs, and I showed him the paperwork. This one is not with it, but you'll see it. So as I began to explain the situation, what was going on, and he said, this is the judge. He said, you mean detective, sir? And he sat back. He silenced the court. put his foot up on his desk, and he said, I don't think y'all understand that this man has been trying to tell us that fraud has been brought into my courtroom. This is actually on docket. I mean, on transcript. This is not something I'm making up. So he let me know that who came to see me was actually not internal affairs, but just a detective. And that this was actually one of my ex's friends she was having an affair with. So let me explain this. I was trying to leave. But in my process of trying to leave, she made me leave on her terms by falsifying a domestic violence. How did she get the help to do such? You know, women do this. But she started having an affair with an officer that worked at our oldest daughter's high school, that worked for the precinct that came to arrest me, that worked under the judge that convicted me. And I didn't know none of this until this case started unfolding, until I kept going to jail, because guess what? The emotions, you know what I'm saying, overshadow reason and logic and even the truth. So they just kept doing things to destroy me, and they kept unfolding and telling the truth on themselves. So I never knew that this guy was coming to see me. So again, let me read you this motion, this affidavit that I wrote right here. That's in Garfield's court. And I'm mentioning names, excuse me, but I can't mention hers. But every other name I'm mentioning. You look at the piece. I said, I, Maurice of the Marbury family, doing sound mind and body and improper personas to juris at UCC 1-308, UCC 3-402B, and UCC 1-103 holder in due course, indigenous more, hereinafter as the same, affirm according to common law, having first-hand knowledge of the facts herein stated by Maurice of the Marbury family are true and correct, complete, and not misleading. Again, this is in court. So after the judge pronounced this to me, this what made me send this to Garfield court so they could not make disappear what they did to me. Detective Sergeant A. Montalera of Garfield Heights Police Department came to see the writer of this affidavit as on or about March 14, 2016, to inform him that the relationship concerning Officer James C. Wright of Garfield Heights Police Station and the writer of this affidavit, I can't mention her name, it was such and such, is being investigated. It's being investigated. Oh, it's freezing. Okay, it's being investigated. Maybe because I put on folders. So let me start that part off again. Please forgive me. I said it's an affidavit signed on that date. So this is actually in Garfield Heights Court. And after the judge informed me that this was actually not internal affairs, but just a detective, I come to find out what was going on. And I did not know any of these things until the case was going on. So this is, again, when the Most High knows, when your heart is pure, when your intentions are pure, he exposes things was done in the dark come out in the light. So let me read this again. It says, the first page, you will see it after this. It's I, Maurice of the Marbury family, doing sound mind and body, doing appropriate personas to juris at UCC 1-308, UCC 3-402B, and UCC 1-103 holder in due course, indigenous more, hereinafter as the same, affirm according to common law, having first-hand knowledge of the facts herein stated by Maurice of the Marbury family are true and correct, complete, and not misleading. 1. Detective Sergeant James A. Montalera of Garfield Heights Police Department came to see the writer of this affidavit on or about March 14, 2016, to inform him that the relationship concerning Officer James C. Wright of Garfield Heights Police Station and the writer of this affidavit, ex-wife, her name I cannot mention at all, you know what I'm saying, on social media or anywhere, is being investigated. I never asked this man to come see me. I never knew they was coming. Somebody informed him of this, and I guess they just wanted to see what it was that I knew. So he came to see me. So this is how the judge informed me, like, man, that wasn't no internal affairs. That was just a detective. So it made me send this paper in so they cannot make what happened disappear. So Article 2 says, let it be known that the writer of this affidavit on their visit had to inform James Montalera after viewing the text messages and phone records that some of his own messages and phone calls were missing on the record from his phone to his ex-wife's phone with a number 216-403-4844 4832. So he knows the report is missing text and messages from the culprits as well. So the record is therefore inaccurate. Article 3 says, let it be known that the writer of this affidavit had to show James A. Mandelaire where her dialed 810 area code number and text right before calling 911 on June 9th, and to that same number right after calling 911, which helps to prove that the allegations were planned and fraudulent. Now, I want you to think about something. People know me. I fight between 3 to 5 men by myself easily. So I want to ask you a question. How can you be on a text message and calling somebody and I'm whooping you? On the text messages and or the 911 call, guess what? They should hear me whooping you, right? Again, I'm looking at the phone records and the text messages, right? So I want to ask you, why don't I even know that you're on the phone if I'm whooping you? So do you see how this was manufactured? I don't even know what's going on. When I step outside, the police out there, and I don't even know why. This is real life. So let's move forward. In Article 4 says James A. Mandelaire did confirm through verbal communication that James C. Wright and the lady mentioned did have meetings that were not official police business. 5. James A. Mandelaire did notify the writer of this affidavit that her and James C. Wright were having conversations via phone, dial, and text messages as well between one another, but unknown to either one of their wives, or either one of their spouses. So he's married. The officer is married, and my ex-wife was married, and neither one of us knew that the other was seeing the other having these illicit phone conversations. Article 6 says, James A. Mandelaire did notify the writer of this affidavit that the person and another officer, Tyrone, I can't remember see his last name here, have also been visiting and as well as text messaging one another that I know of since May of 2015. Now, the domestic violence happened in June. So she's been communicating with people. She started doing this stuff a month ahead of time. Then you look at Article 7. This is where things get very, very like interesting. Like the article where it said, I don't even know that you on the phone, so how am I whooping you? The 911 call doesn't substantiate me beating you. I don't even know you on the phone. So look at Article 7. James and Mandelaire did notify the writer of this affidavit by visual documents that her and James C. Wright have been communicating with one another since May of 2015 through the course of the domestic violence fraud, the conspiracy to obtain a non-contested divorce, and the fictitious violation of a temporary protection order. The same as with Tyrone, as individually, each individually that I know of. Now, do you see the plan here? They already know that I have a history against peace officers. So guess what? Most peace officers are not going to like somebody like me. The first thing comes up is my record that he will kidnap you as a DEA agent and police. He don't fear you. You see what I'm saying? So you have an affair with somebody that you can feed my past aggressions to when I was a kid that will assist you in doing this as get back for possibly some of their co-workers that was almost 30 years ago when I was a kid. See what I'm saying? Now we're going to get to Article 8. It says, let it be known that the writer of this affidavit does not feel completely comfortable that the only investigation pertaining to the incidents involving his freedom, the damages being done to him, his property, and his very life is being done by the very precinct, the officers committing the frauds against him, a real and living man, to cover their moral, official, and violation of their oath of office work for. They the only ones to do an investigation because don't nobody believe what I'm saying. And guess what happened when you're dealing with an officer? She's dealing with an officer that is awarded. So he's dealing with people that are awarded. They already tricked the judge. You see what I'm saying? So guess what they got to do? They got to look out for each other to keep the scam up. But they never knew that I was going to do what I did with this paperwork. Article 9, listen to this. James A. Mandelaire and the other investigators in this case need to know that she knows how to download applications that allows her and others to text and call, and as well as to receive text and calls from others using the phone registered to oneself, but using different area codes and telephone numbers than the one that is registered to them. Therefore, the phone company of each person involved needs to be contacted to see what applications each individual has downloaded with the abilities mentioned above, including but not limited to GPS and messages and phone calls that have been deleted from each member's phone from the time frame you showed me on your visit with me until now, but not limited to. Do you see me making a court document substantiating that you showed me these things? I can't lie about that. You see what I'm saying? And do you see me in here in 2016? I'm asking for GPS. I am asking to be monitored. You see what I'm saying? Why is this? Remember all those 3, 4 different jurisdictions that she went to and said I did something to her on? I never knew I had a restraining order. I never knew none of that, but I never tried to contact her either. I got picked. Now, listen to this. You live in Garfield Heights. You work downtown on 9th Street, East 9th Street, right? It's 8 o'clock Monday morning, 8:30. It's 8:30 Monday morning on a work day that you're supposed to be at work, live in Garfield Heights, so you actually like 10 minutes away from work, right? I get stopped on Superior Hill in my neighborhood. When the police ride by, you see what I'm saying? When the police ride by and they stop me, and guess what? It's 5 cars out here to stop me due to my history and due to that this person is telling everybody that I'm just such a violent dude that I still carry the history, or I'm still now the person that I was in my history. So they're out here 5 cars and I'm handcuffed. Guess who rides by? Her. On the phone. Saying they got him now, he's going back to jail. So see, I'm asking for GPS to show that I'm being tracked, to show that I'm being monitored. You see what I'm saying? To show the collusion that's going on here. None of these things were ever tracked. But that judge helped me, Lucci. Thank you. Let's go to Article 10. It says each of the applications found, but not limited to, should be utilized with each member's phone number and addresses to see if and how they have been used in connection with one another, including my numbers: 216-403-4832, 440-941-6631, 216-882-7577, and the writers documented addresses, including but not limited to Facebook, the walls and inboxes, Instagram, wall and direct messages, Facebook Messenger, and Facebook calling. You see that I'm asking to be monitored. I'm begging to be looked at to show people that all this is a lie. This is fraudulent. That this is fraudulent. You see what I'm saying? Last one. Let's go to 11. Let's go to 11. The writer of this affidavit is requesting to have, this is a sergeant. Now, this is how scared I am when I began to find out that officers are involved in this way. You know what I'm saying? This is what I'm asking to find out what the heck is going on. Because I hired an investigator to help me. And I'm saying the writer of this affidavit is requesting to have, I'm going to keep his name hidden from now, but if you got the paperwork, you can look at it. The sergeant number of 4th District call phone number and text messages ran to see if he is part of this conspiracy, as this is the officer and this is an officer in a private eye who consulted me as we worked together, you know what I'm saying, and told me that through a system that only officers could use, police, he found no restraining orders on me. He also told me this on the recorded phone calls in Painesville County Jail, which is Fed calling, in the week of the 15th. His number is, and I give his number because I need to know now what's going on because this stuff is being unfolded to me. Then you got 12 is the final one. It says the writer of this affidavit would also, in request, like to have a copy of the report and any part of the investigation or paperwork that he can have, including but not limited to the text messages, the phone calls, the Facebook inboxes and Facebook Messenger and calls to the area code 702. And the name, Maurice Marie Whitaker. That's my daughter. She was contacting my daughter, making me look like, he just came home and I don't want you to look at me like. I'm like, wow. You know what I'm saying? And this is since June 9th, 2015 as well. I asked for all this information in 2015. I presented all of these things to the courts in 2015 and 2016, and nobody did anything about this. Let me explain something else. When the police came to pick me up, I came outside. I'm getting ready to leave. I don't even know. I said, please, could you just give me my keys? Just let me leave. Give me my keys. So she ran and took my keys somewhere. So I guess this is the time they're doing 911 or whatever she's doing. I don't know what's going on. I'm just trying to leave. And I get outside. I'm going to walk anyway. So I grab my cameras and I grab my computers and I go outside. And the police out here like, man, come here for a minute. I'm like, what's up? So she come outside like, yeah, don't let him talk to you. He gonna trick you. He good. He good. So I'm listening. I'm looking at her like, man, is you like for serious? What is really like wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, okay, whatever. So they like, well, no, you got to come with us. I'm like, for what? What I do? You know what I'm saying? I got a warrant or something? Traffic, I took care of that traffic. He like, no, you going to jail for domestic violence. I said, what? So I'm not about to argue with nobody. So I sit down in the car. The officer in there says, man, you're not going to be living here anymore. And he's laughing the whole time that he's talking to me. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, you're not going to be living here anymore. So I get picked up in the street in Garfield Heights where we lived as a married couple. But he pulled my address up to where I live right now, 10629 Everton, and said, you're not going to be going in this house anymore. It's not dawning on me because I'm so mentally and emotionally like exhausted right now from what's just going on. I don't even understand what's happening, right? I don't understand this. And I'm wondering, I'm looking at my page on his computer in his car like, what in the world is he talking about? I said, well, listen, man, y'all was taking me to jail. Whatever y'all going to do, I'm thinking I'm about to get up here and get released. I've never been through this ever in my life for domestic violence. So when I get there, he like, no, that's, what did he tell me? He said, no, that stuff is community property now. He knows already that I'm getting ready to be divorced. He knows that she's divorcing me. That's what community property means. It's not dawning on me at the time in June 9th that any of these things are going on. Again, the Most High allowed all these things to be revealed to me later on. And again, at this time, remember, I'm in jail, Painesville jail. I got 4 different warrants: Willoughby, Painesville, Garfield Heights, and Cleveland. That I don't know nothing about. When I began to explain these things to Judge Lucci in Painesville, and he sat back and told me that this was a detective and said, I do not think that y'all understand that this man has been trying to tell us that fraud has been brought into my courtroom. At this time, my bond was $75,000. And if I made a bond, I had to wear an ankle bracelet. When he finished hearing the story and I finished showing him the paperwork, the internal affairs and all that old kind of stuff, allegedly, that they were showing me and giving me and the phone calls and explaining the paperwork that I actually seen, and it was documented that he came in to see me. This was one of her affairs friends that was actually just trying to see how much I knew. But he never knew that I was going to utilize the paperwork like I did. Again, my bond is $75,000 at this time, and if I make it, I have to wear an ankle bracelet. Judge Lucci, when he said that, I don't think y'all understand this man has been trying to tell us that fraud has been brought into my courtroom. He said, listen, sir, and gave me an own recognizance bond. My bonds, I just signed it. He said, I want you to come back to court next month. And I said, okay. And the prosecutor was trying to give me a year probation. He knew it was fraudulent too and fake. So when I come back to court, he said, mister, I don't know how to pronounce your whole name. He said, but this is what I want you to do. Gave you a personal bond. He said, I want you to move forward with your life. File this motion. And it was a motion that was actually going to dismiss the case. And he said, I'm going to grant it. And he did. He said, move on with your life. So, again, I'm not trying to win the case on a technicality. I'm winning the case based on the truth that nobody ever listened to, because this is the manipulation that this person put down on me because I don't want to be with you. So y'all got to be real careful who you get sex to, because everybody can't handle what you do. Everybody ain't willing to let you go. Everybody is not willing to accept that it was winter, spring, summer, or fall, but not the whole duration. It's not a perennial plant. Be very, very careful when you deal with it. And this is what I'm going through again. This is the truth. These are court documents that you can look up yourself. I'm out of here. Take care. Please share my story. Real life acrimony. Take care.